Have you ever wondered what the difference is between hardware and software when it comes to using tools in the studio? It's been something I've been thinking about for a long time, and over the years I've had varying amounts of gear. And the thing is that I'm trying to understand what it is about the hardware that I like and what it is about the hardware that makes a difference, if any. I suppose it means there's actually two questions. And the first question is, does it sound better or does it sound the same as software? And that's a big question. But the second question is also a big one, and it's a very different question. And that is, how do I feel when I'm using it? And does it enable me to make decisions quicker, more efficiently, or in a different mind space or headspace than if I was using software? And that one's a little bit harder to get to. So in this video, I'm going to compare my Heritage Audio Successor hardware bus compressor to the software equivalent that they have recently brought out. So this is the bit of equipment that I'm talking about. This is my Heritage Audio Successor. It's called a bus compressor, but I tend to use it exclusively on drums because I just do. I really like the way it works. I really like the way it sounds. And I really like more than anything how I can just get in, grab the knobs, turn them, etc. So I've got it set up how I mixed this particular track, and I've chosen this track as a start point because on this one, the compressor's doing an awful lot of work. I was looking at the wrong side at the right time. Yeah, the compressor's doing like 8+ dB of gain reduction. So it's making a big difference to the drums on the track. So now what we're going to do is we're going to try and replicate that with the software on here. I'm just going to like literally copy the settings over. It's about here on the dial, and we're looking for around 8, but we're also looking for the overall levels to be coming out the same. So we've got an average level of -24.1 and a peak of 8.6. So here we go. So let's just have a look at the needle on the other one. So the snare's causing it to hit 8. So we've got a gain structure thing as well. On the hardware, I've got the knob at like 10.2, so it's up here, and on here we're nearly down at the end. Okay, so that's roughly the same. Let's go back and compare. Oh, 24.1, 8.6. Okay, I mean that's pretty goddamn similar, isn't it? Okay, and we're listening in isolation. You'd never do that. You're in the track. So let's go in the track. Here's the hardware one. I was looking at the wrong side at the right time. Call it looky if you like, looky if you like. I was staring at the blue tide as the waves rise. Call it looky if you like, looky if you like. I was looking at the wrong side at the right time. Call it looky if you like, looky if you like. I was staring at the blue tide as the waves rise. Call it looky if you like, looky if you like. I mean, I'm sure there'll be people who can be super picky and say, yeah, XYZ sounds slightly different. But the thing is, this is always about vibe, and if it doesn't sound quite right on the snare, it's probably because it's compressing a bit too much, so you turn it down. You wouldn't ever just go like, I'm copying those settings and that's how I'm leaving it. The whole point is you're using the compressor to get you somewhere, and in this case I'm using the compressor because it sounds cool. So let's go back to the hardware one and I'll turn it on and off and we'll see the difference, right? I was looking at the wrong side at the right. That's without the compressor. Call it looky if you like, looky if you like. It totally changes it. I was staring at the blue tide as the waves rise. And that's the thing, right? So with this Successor, I was just playing around with the knobs while I was listening to the track, and I'm like, I like how that sounds. And the bit that's unresolved is, if I was doing that with this plugin, would I have come up with this set of settings? Don't know, but it sounds the same to me running this rather than running that, and it's cheaper and you can run several of them. So, question 1, I think it sounds good enough, like certainly good enough. I mean, I have no qualms about using that from a sound point of view. The second question is about usability, and for that we're going to need a different song. This is a new track in. I've just done a brief bit of session prep all the producers work on here, so I haven't done anything to it. So all we're going to do is we're going to start with the Successor software emulator on the drums, and I'm going to play around with it and see if I get something I like, and then I'm going to try and pretend I didn't do it, which is going to be impossible, and then grab the hardware and see if I get the same results. See, whether just by grabbing the controls it takes me somewhere else, because that's the thing that I'm still not clear on. So let's go. As always, I need to be sure we're level matching here because of what we're doing as an experiment. So we've got one before and one after. So here we go. Okay, cool, so got a bit of something going on there. Levels are fairly matched. I mean, it's good. That's probably a bit aggressive for this. I thought I'd try something with a short attack. Alright, cool. Well, I'll tell you what, that's the good thing about the plugin, is we can keep that one, can't we? We can save that. And we can start again with another one. Can't do that with the hardware so easily. Alright, let's keep going. A bit quieter this time. Oh yeah. Let's see it in the track. Quite like that actually. Change to the other one. Yeah, that's a lot, wasn't it? That's an awful lot. But with that one, you could blend. So how are we doing there? Ah, okay. Blend on. So that's on. That's confusing. I mean, here's how it is on the thing. You push the button in to turn it on, but it's quite a good drum crush. Or that one's louder. I swear that one's louder. Okay, so the peaks are louder, which is slightly frustrating, but the average is slightly lower. But that one's, yeah, that's cool, that one. I'd be tempted to trim it back a little bit, but you can't. You have to go down to 4 there and trim it up a bit there. Okay, cool. Right, well, that was easier than I thought, but I have to say, I was looking at the screen the whole time I was doing that. But with my bit of gear over here, it's actually, like, my eyes are here. Okay, so I can't see the controls so well from this position. So I just reach and grab, which is what I'm going to do now. We're going to turn off these and we're going to put the I/O plugin in. Successor. Let's just press play. Yep. Okay, so again, look, like my eyes are here. This is all I can see. Okay, cool. So this is some extreme setup because it's from the track before. So let's kind of zero it a bit. That feels so different. I'm probably got a very similar result, but just using the controls like that, that's so interesting. Which was my favourite of that one? My favourite was that one, wasn't it? So, okay. Different flavour actually. So I've ended up with about 4 dBs of compression. I have to ignore where that is because they're not the same. 2 to 1, 20 attack, 100 milliseconds, 80. So the only difference with the one on software is I end up with a 3 to 1 ratio on the software and a 2 to 1 on here. So I wonder why. Maybe just because I was using my ears rather than my eyes. I don't know. Yeah, I think when I was using the software, I was looking at the needle rather than just listening. So kind of what you need is one of these where there's no markings on it. Haha, that would be cool. No markings, just the knobs, no needle. So in conclusion, I can say that I think they sound pretty damn similar. Similar enough that you could use them in a mix and you wouldn't probably be able to tell unless you were doing like exact side-by-side comparison, and no one ever does that because you're using it in the context, so you adjust to suit. I'm interested in whether the manufacturers wanted it to sound exactly the same or whether it was in their interest to make the hardware sound slightly better than the plugin, and we'll never know that, but it's an interesting one to muse on. But I think I was more surprised by how it felt to just be reaching out and grabbing those controls. Something about this compressor that I've always liked is the fact that all but 2 of the controls are stepped controls, like fully they're switched. So you're just going click, 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 click. It's not so granular that you're turning something infinitely. And that makes it really easy to just reach and do without having to actually, like look at it. What I found when I was using the plugin was that I think I was looking at the screen. I was looking at the controls. I was looking at the VU meter. Maybe over time you'd stop doing that, but I had to look at where my mouse was going, and whereas when I used my hands on here, I was jumping quite quickly from one control to another. What's my conclusion? I don't know. Workflow-wise, having it as software is more helpful. It's easier when it comes to printing mixes, particularly if you're doing like lots of versions, extendeds, you're doing radio edits, extendeds, you're doing instrumentals, blah blah blah. Having it as software means you can just run it offline as well. It tends to be a faster bounce. What you could do though, of course, when you get to that point, you could commit the drum, you could print the drums onto the system, and then you wouldn't have to worry about printing through that. I also have some other hardware though, so even when I'm printing mixes, I'm printing through them at the moment. I have SSL Bus Compressor and the Elysia X filter, both are on my mix bus, and I suspect that I have similar advantages and disadvantages about those. They're not quite so tactile. They haven't got the switches. But with the EQ particularly, again, I don't look at the numbers. I grab the control, I turn it. Does it sound good? Yes. Right, cool. I'm sometimes then surprised when I write the settings down by how far I've gone, maybe. Bus Plus, it's probably the most replaceable. I don't know. But if I'm keeping one, I'm keeping both because I've got to print through it anyway. So, next video is going to be the EQ. In the meantime, what do you buy? You probably buy the plugin, it's cheaper. But if you've got hardware anyway and you like reaching out, then I would reckon that's definitely worth trying, just to see what it does for your creative mind when working on a mix. Cool. Well done, Heritage Audio, for making a cool plugin. And an even cooler bit of hardware.